Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be. My name is Jean Scrocco. Some of you know me, most of you don't, I hope. I am the owner of the Spiderweb Art Gallery, and I am an agent in the art industry, and I represent artists, and I sell beautiful, fabulous art. And my main love of my life and my main artist was and still is Greg Hildebrandt. Greg and I were together, working together, 45 years before he passed away on Halloween in 2024. For the past year and a half, I have been working on his legacy. Happily some days not so much, and decided now finally I might try doing some videos about his life. So we're going to call this little mini series Behind the Brush. This is about the man, the artist, the life of someone I love, who I think is a genius. Okay, so here's where I want to start. And maybe it's a little unusual, but it's where I want to start. I want to start in 1975. In 1975, Greg and Tim decided they wanted to do movie poster art, try something new. They were doing a lot of children's book illustration, Platten Monk, Western publishing, kids' books. And so they literally took a phone book. This is something that many of you have never seen in your life. It was a big, fat book. It was like that. It was yellow, and it had every phone number in the country in it. And they turned to the classified section, to the advertising section, to ad agencies that specialized in posters, movie posters, and they stuck a pin in the page, and that's where they went. They called the ad agency John and Murray, and they said, you know, we're artists and we're good and we want to come in and get some work. And they said, come on in, because in those days that's what you could do in 1975. You just went in. And so they hopped on a train, they got into Manhattan, they walked into the office, they had their portfolios in garbage bags because they didn't have portfolios. And John and Murray were very impressed. But when they walked in, what they saw was magic. They saw all these beautiful paintings for a movie by Mel Brooks titled Young Frankenstein. Then they said, well, wait a minute. What is this? It's a black and white movie. What is this? We love Mel Brooks. We love Young Frankenstein. What is this? And all of a sudden, they realized, well, we ran out of money. We don't have a budget. We can't get another painting out of this, and we're shipping them out tomorrow. And Greg said, we're doing a painting. And they said, it's not possible. We're shipping them out tomorrow. So Greg and Tim hopped on the train, and they ran back to New Jersey. And on the train, they did a sketch. This is the sketch. 1975. Right here, this is the sketch. They had given them a couple of stills from the movie. They sketched it out. They knew what they wanted. They got back to Greg's studio. They sat down. They grabbed a board. They grabbed Greg's wife, first wife, not me, first wife. Here she is, posing there. Okay. This they didn't need to pose because they had the photo. This they had the photo. They sat down and they painted through the night. And in the morning, they called the ad agency. And they said, we got a painting. It's done. And they said, what do you mean it's done? How do you paint overnight? You can't paint a whole painting overnight. And they said, yes, we did. And they got back on the train and they got back to New York. And they handed them the painting. And the painting went out with the rest of them. And Mel Brooks loved it. But he said it gave away too much of his movie, so they didn't use it. But that was okay, because they made their mark. 2 years later, 1977, the world is kind of evolving. In movies, we're going fantasy, science fiction, maybe, maybe not. And they get a phone call in the studio, and it's John and Murray. They said, we have a rush job, and we know you guys can paint fast. So can you come into the city right now, because we need a painting in 36 hours. And they said, sure. And they got on the path, and off they went, back into Manhattan, back into the office. They got handed all these stills. They said, it's some sci-fi movie, some guy, like a man in the iron mask. Don't worry about the people. Don't worry about the actual actors, because nobody knows who they are. None of them know anybody who's in this movie. So the likenesses don't have to be exact. This is the only photos we have. They said the director's name is George Lucas. Mr. Lucas had a couple of other paintings that were done. He knew the basic layout, the basic composition that he wanted. It just wasn't comic booky enough for him. So Greg and Tim grabbed what they were given, got back on the train, got back to the studio, and for the next 36 hours, round the clock, they painted. Greg posed his wife, and again, this time for Princess Leia, probably in the same bathrobe she was in on this one, I would imagine. And one of them slept for 4 hours while the other one painted and woke up. The next one painted, then they painted together, because they always painted together on the same painting, which was something people always loved to hear, but never quite understood. And the next morning, they got up and they called the agency and they said, okay, we're almost done. We'll be there tomorrow morning. John and Murray said, it's not possible, but we'll see you in the morning. And then they went the next day. They went into the city. They handed them the Star Wars. And they said, this is it. This is what we could do in this period of time. Somehow they were able to show that image to Lucas. And they said, something's missing. So Greg and Tim drove back into the city this time, because they didn't even want to wait for the train. And they said, okay, you know what? We got a down here, we got a gap, we got a space. There's a void. Let's put the droids in here. Okay, let's put the droids in here. So they call Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm says, yes, put the droids. No paint, no brushes, no nothing. So the ad agency sends somebody down to a local paint store in New York. Greg and Tim said, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. They bring back everything. And in the ad agency, they paint in the droids. Pretty cool. And then they sign their name. And in those days, in the 70s, artists' names were not on movie posters. They just weren't. But Lucas knew that Greg and Tim already had a following worldwide for their work on The Lord of the Rings with Ballantine Books. So he asked them to make their name bigger. So again, at the ad agency, they painted out the name, they painted it in bigger. And as we say, and you say, if you're a Star Wars fan, the rest is history. So thank you for watching, obviously, and for being interested in the Hildebrandt artwork. This is the first in the series of Behind the Brush. The idea is for me to make his life available to you, the parts of it that you've never seen before, and the little stories that you've never heard and you never will. And for me, I had the joy and the magic of Greg Hildebrandt in my life for 45 years. So there's lots of things that we can discuss. Lots of art, lots of stories. You tell me if there's something you want me to discuss. If you have questions, you have options. You can email me at Jean, Jean, at spiderwebart.com, or you can go to our Reddit page and you can just put the questions there and we'll answer you. But if you want your questions answered on the video with some backup art, sketches, paintings, please send me an email, and you never know, you might be the next video question. Thank you.